Bonjour, Monsieur Will Martin. Vive la France winning the World Cup. I'm smiling because I've won money on a sweepstake at work. Thank you for coming back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the UFC Hamburg breakdown, so guten Tag is what I should be saying. Well, we just had a fight card happen in Boyce. I would say that the Three Blind Mice were judging some of them fights because there were some atrocious decisions. But all in all, we got to see some good fights. Chad Money Mendez is back with a bang. Mate, did you enjoy the fights this weekend? Excuse the bets bit, but overall, as a fight fan, did you enjoy it?
I did. I liked some of the fight. It's I don't know how I managed to make that mistake because Mendez is a former world title challenger and he's fought the best guys, and I just thought he was going to be a bit rusty, and Jury was just going to be a wee bit kind of awkward for Mendez. Clearly showed that he's still one of the main guys in that division, and he's got another couple of guys coming up with Volkanovs. Yeah, he really impressed me.
Yeah.
Considering I think he hurt himself through the week. There's a video that came out last night where he hurt his rib, broke a rib, or it did something to his rib, and still pretty much 30-26. Darren Elkins, and then like I'm saying, there was a couple of cards on there. Like how Dennis Bermudez lost that fight, I've no idea. Scoggins, I thought, was clear outpointing Nurmagomedov. I thought Nurmagomedov won the third, but I thought pretty easily that 1 and 2 that Scoggins won that, and he was taking it easy in round 3. But overall, it was a solid fight card. It was one of those cards where I even put out on Twitter yesterday. It was like it's one of those cards where the underdogs are going to win, and it started off pretty much like that. Barcelos' finish of Holloway was unbelievable. That fight was a great fight, by the way. I really enjoyed that fight. But he set up that uppercut from the very first round and eventually put him down with it. So that was it. I was big on Barcelos, and me being the bell end I am, did not bet him and bet Miles Jury instead and had a losing night. So lessons learned. But overall, solid card. I actually really like the Hamburg card. I think it's for a European card now. Sometimes we moan a little bit about these cards. Honestly, if I was a fan and I saw this card put together a couple of months back, I maybe thought of going over to Germany for it. I think it's a solid card. There's fighters there I want to see, and I think you've got a guy in the main event in Shogun, which he's a draw. Put him anywhere in the world, people are going to flock to see him, and I know there is people that are flying over there to see him predominantly. So yeah. It's on a Sunday at a decent time, which is brilliant, which is always a help for us. Whether I know we've got kids and we're doing our own thing and try to look after that, but to have it on the TV just and watch our own pleasure and leisure and not have to stay up until silly o'clock in the morning, it always is a good thing.
Exactly, yeah. I didn't get to bed till...
By the way, subscribe. We forgot.
I haven't forgot. I haven't even started the card yet. I was going to do that, bro. I promise I'd remembered. I was going to... So honestly, yeah, like Will said there, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, because you will see constant breakdowns and constant advice on and maybe ideas on who to bet and what to bet, and even we'll answer your questions if you put questions in the comment section, or if you text, Instagram, whatever, tweet, sorry, not text, we're not giving you our numbers unless you look like Kat Zingano. And also, folks, as well, you can just join in the MMA community, talk about your bets. You know, I've had comments on YouTube channel about people putting their bets down. Tell us what you're betting on, who your thoughts are. If you had a winning weekend, we want to interact with all of you. So do subscribe. It's a big factor. And look, we're going to keep pumping out podcasts and interviews. There's lots of interviews going down now. I'm starting to really crack on with them. So get tuned into them. So UFC Hamburg, Will, let's kick it off all the way down the bottom. So we got a guy who I'm impressed with as a whole anyway, Damir Stasiak, okay, facing Lu Ping Yan, or Yang, or Yuan. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Yuan. It will be Yuan. Will, I'll let you kick things off, my brother from another mother. Go on.
Yeah, I don't think Lu's that good. I really don't think he's that good. I don't think Stasiak's great, but I think he's far solid, more solid than what Lu is. I think that the only things I've seen that I think that he looks decent with, he's got a pretty decent double leg takedown. has a little bit of power, but he's got really bad takedown defense, and somebody like Stasiak, I don't know whether he might use that to his advantage, because sometimes I think he's a pretty solid fighter all around anyway, but I think his IQ's a little bit iffy sometimes. I think if he was to take this to the ground, he would submit the guy. So I feel that that's what he should do. Honestly, I don't expect a hell of a lot from Lou in the UFC. I don't think he's that good. A little bit of power in his hands, a good double leg. I don't think it's enough to win fights in the UFC, so I'm going to go Stasiak to get a submission maybe late on in round number 3.
I'm going Stasiak round 1. I that's how highly I think more of Stasiak compared to Lou. Like you said, there's not tons of footage out there of Lou. It's really hard to get hold of it. But the stuff that he's done, like you say, his double leg entry is pretty good. He's got, but he doesn't do a lot from that. That's the issue. With the striking, you got to look at his record. The dudes he's fought, they're not very good. Let's be brutally honest. The people he's fought are pretty low. Regional scene in Asia, so it really sets the standard and the bar. I'm not mocking the Asian scene, but the regional scene's awful. There's not a lot of superstars coming out of it, and Lee's just had like a fun ride, fighting not really good fighters. He was actually, I believe, was Lou made a fight? Oh no, it was probably another fighter. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. No, it was a different fight. I'm getting mixed up. But Stasiak, yeah, I'm going first round, mate. I think Lou will go for that double leg. Which, if I'm Stasiak, let him get it, because I'll just submit you. If I believe Lou's been tapped out as well to triangle. He's been put to sleep via a triangle as well, so he is susceptible to getting submitted. He is open. What I've seen of it, he leaves himself exposed to opportunities to get submitted. I think Stasiak's got a really good IQ on the ground for seeing holes for opportunities for submissions. So I'm going Stasiak round 1, tap that man out or put him to sleep. Light heavyweight division, man. Like, talk about giving someone a win. Kimball, we got Jeremy Kimball with the debut, of Darko Stasiak. Bless you. Get some tissues. Man, this fight here. Well, actually, Darko's fought heavyweight in the past, probably because he's on so much testosterone and special sauce, because he was jacked. Like, he has no neck in existence. So I'm super curious to see how he looks on the scales for the UFC. I think he'll look good at light heavyweight. But the thing is, he's been in the testing pool for 6 months. Obviously, you have to be minimum 6 months. How many times have they done random tests to him? Probably not that many. I'm just putting it out there, because the lower you are on the rankings in the newbie, they don't really test that much on that dude. I can see him failing soon, because that guy, I'm not being funny, there's no way he's natural. That is a freak of nature, that physique he's got. When we talk about striking, man, he is awful. Like, he is so bad at striking. Well, honestly, bro, technically he's awful. He just swings, but he's going to win in this fight, because Kimball's not that great. Kimball's aggressive as well. Kimball will strike, then shooting for a takedown. I think he's going to come in and, man, Slodik's got this. He's got a left hook, which is like his go-to counter. Whenever someone throws a punch, he's got a go-to left hook counter, and that is it. When he attacks himself, he throws this awful overhand right, which is quick and fast, but that's it. And then he throws the overhand looping right, and then he throws a looping left hook, and that's pretty much his 2-punch combination that he's got. He had a fight against some fat jobber, is the best way to put it, and he kicked him with 2 inside leg kicks, and the guy tapped out and went, nah, I'm out. Like, I don't rate him at all. His last fight was against a 42-year-old guy who had a 10-14 record, and the guy looked like he was more scared about when he fell over than he was about the strike that hit him. Like, you could see him look at the floor going, oh, I don't want to hurt myself, my arthritis. I'm not too big on Darko, mate. He's going to win it, because Kimball's not that great, to be brutally honest with you. And like, the power of the sauce will get Darko through. But man, he's going to get torn up in this light heavyweight division, because his technique is woeful.
I like the fact that he's moved down to the light heavyweight division. I think he would have been completely undersized up at heavyweight.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying when you regards his striking. He's a protege of Marco Krokop. So he's the one thing that stands out to me in all his striking, and it's not his hands, it's his kicks. His kicks are fucking vicious. He throws like full. He throws everything into them, and he hurts guys with them. And now I know he took out that guy with a couple of kicks who really didn't want it. But like I say, I think he's got power in his hands. I just don't think he throws with any kind of technical ability to really hurt you with it. I think he could set up more like kicking attacks, which I think is his strong point, if he threw more hands and threw his hands a lot better. I know he works with Satoshi Ishii as well, who is probably where he's got a majority of his kicks from, because he doesn't really go high all that much, but the low kicks are vicious. He has wrestling. He can put you down, he can put his weight on you, and he can stifle you from there. I think this is a pretty much a gimme. Not a gimme, I shouldn't say that, because this is the fight business, you never know what's going to happen. I think it's a softball into the UFC.
A favourable go.
It's a soft, like I say, Kimball's aggressive, he's going to come forward, and he's probably going to eat a shot, or he's going to get taken down, he's going to get ground and pounded, and I think once he gets hurt, he looks for a way. He doesn't really fight to stay in the fight, and he will maybe look for the cage door a little bit. So I'm going to go with Darko Stosic to knock him out. I think if not, he'll win a pretty comprehensive decision. When he fought that Dion Starlin, he went to decision with him twice, and he pretty much beat him up for the majority of both those fights. Threw him out the ring even in one of the fights, which was quite funny. So the guy's strong, guy's powerful. And he will win fights in the 205 division, because it's not a great division, and he'll win this fight. So I'm going to go with a finish, because I think that Kimball is very, very finishable. So I'm going to go Stosic via stoppage.
Next up, bro, the fight that should have happened when we were over there, but instead we had a really awesome night out with Mr. Manny Bermudez. Davey Grant, Manny Bermudez, bro, bantamweight division, man. You are, and I am, and a lot of other people actually really excited for this fight. Go ahead, let's see how your predictions going with this, because it might change since Liverpool, maybe, or what's the score?
Oh, no, it's not. I'm even more confident in just being around Manny and just seeing the way he kind of carried himself, because we were sat pretty much, I want to say 15 foot to the right of him when we found out the fight was off. We're probably one of the first ones to actually find out about the fight being off.
Yeah, we were. We
sat, so, and we kind of just by us sitting there and looking and kind of evaluating the situation, and then I think I reached over and said, "Is it true about the fight, Manny?" And he just nodded his head. And by that point, Molly McCann had brought him a bar of chocolate, and he was drinking Guinness, I think, at that point as well. So, but like from there, I think that was maybe a Wednesday. That was a Thursday night. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday when the card was, the guy was awesome to be around. Him and his good friend were over.
Mike,
he was just a really good guy. He was like, anything we asked him to do, or could he do it, he was like, yeah, of course. And then he got a little bit tipsy, which was quite funny, and it was nice to see him like he had. He was just a really solid guy to be around, and the guy's a really good fighter. Davey Grant, I can't hate on Davey Grant at all, because Davey's a really nice guy. The one thing that I really liked when we were at the fights on the Sunday, I think it was, Davey was sat to our right, and Manny was sat to far left, and you seen them, the two were speaking there, and Manny, Davey's little boy was there, and it was just a really nice thing to see that, even though the fight got pulled off. Some people get pissy about it. They two guys were top class mixed martial arts, just respect for each other. Really glad the fight got put back together, and I'm not going to change my pick. I still think Manny is the better fighter. He just has to be careful he doesn't get KO'd, because his strong point is his ground game. His weak point, I think, is his striking game. Even though I think it is a skill set that is ever improving, just don't get caught, and I think he wins this fight pretty comprehensively. I think he finds a way to get it to the ground. I think he finds a way to submit him. So I'm going to go Manny Bermudez, first, second round submission.
Yeah, I'm going with you as well, man. Like, I'll go back and watch a bit more footage again, and like you say, being around Davey and being around Manny, I just feel that Manny's kind of got this focus about him that it's impressive, man. I've interviewed him as well. We had a chat and did an interview with him, and that you can go online to check that out, folks. But Yeah, I just feel that, like you say, the skill set that Manny's got, very, very strong submission game. Like, that's one of his, like it's deadly. Like, if you go to the ground with him, you probably want to just, if you can, not stay in his guard, get up and get out. Just disengage and just carry it like Katzengano did, like, you know, the weekend. She disengaged quite a lot. She stayed in, then got out the guard. It was really, that was good fight IQ, that bit of a game, but I won't go into many more than that. And yeah, but same here. I think Davey can be dangerous on the feet with a couple of strikes, but Manny should be okay. It's not, Davey's not a wonder boy or a Till, or, you know, he's not going to come out like, he's not Cody Garbrandt or TJ Dillashaw. You know, he's got a skill set that is manageable on the feet. Like, don't get me wrong, Davey's dangerous on the ground too, but there is levels to the ground. Like we saw, like with like Damian Maia, you know, there's levels to this game, and I think Manny is a little bit further ahead. And I'm with you. I think I'm going second round submission. I think they might be a bit at the first round, a bit tentative, so to speak, a bit, you know, kind of feeling each other out. But I think second round, I'm going to go with Manny. Next up, bro. I'm looking forward to this, man. This is going to be a good fight, dude. And I'm still toying about who to pick. We've got Justin Ledet making his light heavyweight debut. So there's him going down to light heavyweight. Darko going to light heavyweight, even though he was never in the UFC prior. But outside the UFC, he was heavyweight. So and they got two new additions. Marc Godby is going down to light heavyweight as well. So that might be a future rematch, Ledet and Godby. But anyway, so we've got Justin Ledet against Aleksandar Rakic. Now, dude, man, this is an awesome fight because Rakic is like really big. Like, he's almost like Anthony Smith, so to speak. Like, long, big kind of frame for the light heavyweight division. Just like, and he's like a prodder, you know. He's a prodding guy. He's nice and patient. Man, I'm loving this fight straight away because Ledet's boxing is legit. Like, he has got really good boxing skills, good hands, and he's actually shown that he can got a little bit of ground game to him as well, you know. But like Rakic, he's hittable. This is my worry. You know, when you're getting clocked by Francis Bososa, sorry, spelling it out wrong there, but if you're getting cracked by him, that starts worrying because he only had a couple of strikes that he was throwing, and you should be able to get out of range and back in again to miss those. But he was getting cracked. I think Ledet's going to catch Rakic here, and I think he's going to stop him. I think his boxing's the jab is going to ruin Rakic. It's going to throw him off his game. It's going to throw his timing off, and it's going to just stop a lot of the engagement that Rakic wants to make. I'm going to go Justin Ledet. I'm going to go second round, but I wouldn't be shocked in the first one. Ledet, second round, TKO, man. I think that jab is just going to be the difference in this fight.
Yeah, I'm like yourself. This is probably one of the fights I'm struggling to pick between, because I think that Ledet has some good technical boxing. Like you're saying, his jab, I think, is, we see when he came into the UFC, a lot of output. He jabbed the face off Chase Sherman.
Yeah.
Second fight in Belfast, he got a takedown and submitted Marc Godby. I did not see that one coming at all. And then he kind of sneaked that fight last time out against Zhu Anyanwu. I thought he was lucky to kind of get away with that win there, but he did enough in the judges' eyes. Who am I to say that he didn't win that fight? And Rakic is coming off that win over Bartosz. Bartosz is one of the worst fighters in the world to watch. Not a good fighter, but this guy is a big striker. Throws big bombs. I think that Ledet can maybe counter him quite easily, so that's the thing I'm a little bit worried about. Like the fact that he's went over to American Top Team for this pretty much the last few months, so that's decent on his part. He's got to improve some aspects. I still think he's going to get countered a little bit. I want to pick Rakic. I'll be honest with you. I really, you know what? I'm going to pick Rakic. Actually, I think I might land a shot on Justin Ledet. I see spots where Ledet can get taken out.
Yeah.
But I can also see where he could completely dominate Rakic here just with his counter striking and his accuracy. I'm going to go for Rakic to get a finish because I think that's what he'll need. I don't think he'll outpoint Ledet over 15 minutes of a fight, so he needs to get a stoppage. I'm going to go Rakic via a TKO in the first or second round. I'll go early second.
I honestly think it's going to be a cracking bout. The two of them, like, striking. It's going to be great, honestly. It's going to be so fun to watch. Next up, though, in the featherweight division. Really weird. I'll just put this out there. I would have thought you would have had Nasrat and Nad on this card against each other because they were meant to fight on every. But anyway, it's not happening. Doesn't matter. So you've got Khalid Taha against Narimani. So, Will, this is the debut for Mr. Narimani, the big debut for him. Big chance here. Go and give me your ideas on how it's going to go down, though.
Yeah, this is a short play. Who was the guy that pulled out, actually?
Someone pulled out for Nad. It was... Oh, gosh, who was it again? There's that many changes on this card. It's almost impossible to keep up with it.
Pulled out. I can't even remember now, but
there's a ton of them, absolute ton of them on this card.
Yeah, well, no matter anyway. I like Khalid Taha is a guy I never heard about until about a year ago when he fought in Risen.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
over there, and I think he lost, and then he won a fight over there. But he's a guy that once I heard that they're looking for an opponent for Germany, I thought this is the guy they're going to take. He's not under contract with anybody. And they can get him in there short notice. It's perfect. I think he's got a big discrepancy with his takedown defense. I don't think he can stop getting taken down. I think his power is decent, but he's very, very wild. Where Narimani is very, very precise. He's just a really well-oiled fighter, good in every aspect of the game. Has chopping kicks, which I think is a big, big thing that he could use here. But there is gaps in his game. I think he's a good fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter. Natural power. He's scrappy in the scrambling aspect of the game, and sometimes he's okay with his wrestling. But I think there's other times when he's he's not that solid either. He can counter strike. I just think when I look at this matchup, I think Narimani just beats him in every aspect if he doesn't get caught. I think he can mix it up on the feet. I think Narimani's a southpaw, if I remember right. So. He could give him a little bit of problem with that, but I think he can time takedowns and get takedowns on Taha here. Like the fight I was mentioning earlier on, just don't get caught with a big power and fight smart. I think he wins. He wins this fight pretty comfortable. I think it's an easier fight than what the Nasrat fight was going to be. So I'm going to go Narimani. I don't think he stops him. I think he gets a full 15 minutes in his UFC debut and gets the win though.
That is something about Taha. He's got good tank in him. He's not going to gas early. That's one thing I've noticed when I watch his footage as well of his fights. He does have a good engine on him. The only thing is, like you say, he is scrappy, but he can get caught. Sometimes he does leave himself a bit on the scraps. When he's like scrambling around on the ground, he does leave himself a little bit exposed. But yeah, Nad is, I think, a little bit more on like a level above him. In the sense of Nad, it was a tight one with him and Alex Enland in that Cage Warriors featherweight fight. That was a great bout between them. And then Nad came back and fought Paddy and just stopped that train, like derailed it, took off the tracks and blew it up. Like Paddy wasn't even close to winning that fight. Got owned, got absolutely dominated. And like everyone was like, "Oh, Paddy in the UFC." I was like, "No, not really, because that's going to happen every time. And I think Nad's going to do this here. He's going to engage a couple of times with Taha, just to get Taha striking a bit more, throwing a bit more than one or two strikes to try and engage him into a 3 or 4 punch combo, get that takedown, and do the thing that he does, which is really good on top, get past that guard, have a half guard side control, and just get those good strikes in. I'm going decision, but I'm going for a very dominant decision. I would not be surprised if you see a 10-8 round here where he just completely dominates Taha because he's going to just out-grapple him. And next up in the welterweight division, we've got Mr. Viking coming back. Okay, Emil, right, I see Meek, alright, but it's Meek if you're British, or Meek if you're not, against Fabinski. This fight here, bro, it's a more suitable fight for Emil, finally. I feel like even when he came into UFC, he had to fight Jordan Meehan, which that's a hell of a fight to have as well, for UFC. And I think finally Meek's getting a kind of opportunity to get himself established and get a bit of momentum in the UFC with a more suitable opponent in Fabinski, rather than giving him like he fought Usman, which was way out of his league. Now don't get me wrong, he did well in the striking bit. He was causing problems for Usman. As much as Usman might say he had an injury or whatever, and there was that beautiful footage you saw of them two training together at the UFC Performance Institute, and that just kind of amplifies the respect of what martial artists have. And they've also shared some drinks together too. In Glasgow, they were drinking buddies around as well at the party. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man, because I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. Meek strike, because that dude, he throws heavy, man. He hits hard. He's got a great gas tank for that guy. Like, he's shredded, kind of like Danny Roberts, but got really good conditioning, really good effort, like really good engine. The problem is though, he's fighting a guy, Fabinski, who does one thing and one thing only: takes you down, lies on top of you, and is one of the most boring fighters you'll ever see in your life. Like, when I say boring, like, I'm dreading partly watching it, because if it does turn into that fight, it's going to be the worst 15 minutes you'll ever watch. But I think Emil, with the experience of fighting against Usman, when he gets a takedown against him by Fabinski, he'll be like, there's levels. You're like, oh man, that's nothing like what I've dealt with already by Usman. And I'm hoping he should be able to counter that and deal with it, because that's what he would have trained for against Usman. And I think I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go Meek here. He's going to get it. I'm going to go with a Viking. With me Viking blood inside of me. He's going to win this decision. I think he's going to win the decision. I think Fabinski's a bit of a tough cookie to crack, but I think he's going to win the decision here.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think there's too much to really look into this fight. If Meek keeps the standing, he wins the fight all day long. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I don't think he can stop the takedowns. I think he has faced the better caliber wrestlers, but the only thing that Fabinski is good at is he can take you down. 16 takedowns in 2 fights, albeit against 2 of the worst guys in the division in Arbina and Gareth McClellan. It's still 16 takedowns. It's still 16 passes in between 2 fights. And we have seen that Meek can be taken down. So for me, it's clear striker versus grappler. The first round's going to be big. If Meek wins the first round, I don't see him losing the fight. If Fabinski wins the first round, I don't see him losing the fight, because that means that Meek has to get more aggressive. He has to come forward, and he's going to play into Fabinski's hands. He's going to take him down and just lie on him and win the majority of the fight through that. So for me, I'm going to go with Fabinski. I've seen nothing in the part where Meek can stop takedowns consistently. Love the fact that Kamaru Usman actually was helping him out, the PI. I think that was pretty cool to see the video the other day there. I'm going to go Fabinski. I just think he's going to get takedowns, and he's going to stall the whole entire fight, get back to his feet and potentially take him down. But I can also see parts of the fight where Meek might catch him with something and put a bit of a hurting on him as well. So I'm going to go Fabinski. I feel more confident picking him over Meek here, but just for the fact that Meek has not shown that he can stop the majority of takedowns, and it's the only thing that Fabinski is really good at as well.
Yeah. The UFC must hate that about Fabinski, because it's so boring to watch. He's awful viewing people. Interesting matchup for the Nick Hein is against Damir Hadzovic. This is like Nick Hein. Oh, like, I'm sick of Nick Hein, if I'm honest, mate. But Nick Hein, Damir Hadzovic, hit me, bro.
I like the matchup, actually. I like the fact that he's got back in there quick. He lost mid-May. He got kind of starched by Davey Ramos, where I think he tried to attempt a takedown on a jiu-jitsu guy and got absolutely blasted for it, which was so stupid. I'm not really going to talk much about that fight, because he made the stupid decision of wanting to take it to the strongest part of his opponent's game, which was silly to me. But he is a solid fighter who, in these type of matchups, does enough to win fights and wins decisions fairly unanimously, like he has done against Sajewski and Kasuya and Bang. And Dober as well was another one. I've always been a big admirer of Damir Hadzovic, just for the fact that he's a do-or-die fighter. He's always dangerous, like you've seen in the Held fight. If you give him the opportunity to throw something at you and he lands it, and that was more of Marcin Held being silly, going in kind of reckless like that against someone like Hadzovic. I like this matchup for Hadzovic. I think if it's going to be, I think it predominantly will take part in the feet. I think it's going to be close. If Damir catches him with a big shot, then I think he he takes over the fight. I think that Hein will get scared with the power that he possesses, and will maybe start to, if he's shooting on a jiu-jitsu guy, he's going to shoot on someone like Damir Hadzovic, and Hadzovic has been a guy that's got taken down in the past as well. So I see that's where Hein, I don't think Hein wants anything trading with Damir Hadzovic on the feet. I think he's going to look to take this to the ground as soon as he can. But you have to think that Damir Hadzovic is going to make improvements in his takedown defense after that fight against Alain Patrick, because he knows if he keeps it standing, he can hurt you. I don't think he throws with enough output either, which kind of hurts him in 15-minute fights. Because if he threw with more output with the power that he has, I think he'd look a lot better in the judges' eyes. He has to be very effective here because it's in Germany, and it's just got, if it goes to decision, you just know that they're going to give Hein the fight. It's a hard one. I feel more confident picking Damir Hadzovic, honestly. Hein is a serviceable guy, but I don't think he's any more than that. I think Hadzovic is the same, but I think he has more power, and I think if he catches you with it, you'll know about it. And like I say, it's in Germany here, so I think he has to put an exclamation point on the win here. So I'm going to pick him via knockout in the second or third round. A guy you can never sleep on, but I'm going to go for Hadzovic.
Okay, nice. I like it. Look, Nick Hein for me is just, like I've said it before, I say it again. He's not in it enough. He's not competing enough. He's just a random, a fight every now and then kind of fighter. He's not consistent. He's never going to be fighting for that lightweight title. He's just there for marketability for Germany. But all in all, I think Damir Hadzovic has a great opportunity to use. He's going to be the longer fighter with this fight. I think he could easily just outstrike Nick Hein, really put a bit of a hurt in, and actually Damir could take Nick down. I think at certain points in the round, kind of midway point, later third of the round, quarter of the round, get those important takedowns to get those points on the board, so to speak. Just beat him with the striking, and then when Nick Hein tries to engage, get that takedown. Damir can 100% do that, and then just get up. I wouldn't fear Nick Hein too much on the ground as well. Damir's very good on top when he gets someone, and he's got some good ground and pound. So I'm going to go with Damir, like a heavy decision, because I think he'll just put Nick Hein in a lot of trouble with striking and just get those all-important takedowns at key moments in the round. I think that will get him enough to get that decision. Next up is a interesting matchup indeed. We have Nasrat facing off against Marc Diakiese. So Nasrat, here we go. Yeah, Nasrat, that'll do. Okay, I'm favouring Nasrat here. I wasn't too big on him when he first came in UFC because he was just running his mouth, and I thought, right, I want to calm down a little bit here, kid. But that King's MMA, Rafael Cordero, like what he does to Doom, Calvin Gastelum, just the amount, different strikers that go there and train, and the amount that change where they're striking, kind of like Dwayne Ludwig as well. You see improvements. Like Marc Diakiese, I'm telling you right now, he won't have done much different. He will not do much different than in his last fight with his striking. He'll kind of be the same. There's a lot of hype with Marc Diakiese. I was never on that train, to be brutally honest. Never had been. I still aren't. I'm still not. I think Nasrat's going to cause Diakiese problems. I think Nasrat's going to have that striking, which is going to throw him off. He's going to have footwork, angles, which Diakiese won't like, because Nasrat is going to close the gap and get the takedowns as well. That's the thing. He'll set the strikes to get the takedowns in. I think Diakiese is going to just have a horrible, frustrating night. I just think he's going to get so annoyed about this fight because he'll get on his back. Diakiese is going to be on his back a few times here, and I think it would just gripe him a little bit. And I think Nasrat's going to get the decision win here. I think he'll just grind him out and get that 3 rounds. That's my thought on it.
Nasrat said when I was looking earlier on, Nasrat said he's camp at TriStar as well for this one. So I think he's going to fight smart, because you know what the fighters are like out of TriStar. They fight to a game plan.
Takedowns in, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's where they can. I think that's where they're going to be looking. But I think that not unless you're a D1 wrestler like Drakkar Klose was. Don't know whether you're going to get a guy as athletic as Marc Diakiese as down as easy. I like Marc Diakiese with the fact I think he has got talent there. that I think he's in the right spot at American Top Team to nurture that. But is a guy that other fighters use, and because him and Dustin Poirier do a lot of things together. But you've seen the progress that Dustin Poirier is making, where Marc Diakiese's kind of petered out, and after that win in London when he beat Packlin, everybody thought, oh, he's at this camp, he's going to do absolutely amazing things. To be fair, in the two fights he's had against Close and Hooker, they've been close fights as well. I think that the Drakkar Close, when I watched it back, I'm thinking he had an opportunity to win that fight. Drakkar Close brought it home. We've seen that he's a decent fighter. He's still winning fights against good guys. Dan Hooker, we've seen what he's did since he's went to 155. The big thing for me here is the speed and athleticism, I think, for Diakiese, and can he be the one to... I think whoever gets the fight to the mat and can keep it there wins the fight. I think Marc Diakiese should abandon that whole highlight reel looking for kicks, blowing his energy on all that stuff, and go back to his wrestling, and because that's what he was doing when he was winning fights before he started knocking guys out. And then obviously just the knocking guys out has got to him, and he's got too confident in his hands, and he's forgot about his grappling. Grappling is where he's going to win his fights. I'm going to go Marc Diakiese. I think that I do think it can be close though. Haqparast is a very, very solid fighter, but I don't think he's anything special. I think if Marc Diakiese turns up the way I think he can, I think he wins the fight 8 out of 10 times, maybe 7 out of 10 times. Not discrediting Haqparast or anything, but I just think that Marc Diakiese has talent. Hopefully these losses have nurtured that talent a little bit better, and it shows in this fight. But honestly, I don't think you can be confident in it, because I've been confident in his last two fights. I bet him in his last 2 fights, and I've lost money on him. I'm not going to do it this time. I learned my lesson I should have learned after the first one, but after the second one, I've definitely learned I'm not going to touch him in this one until I see that it's definitely progression in his game. But I'm going to pick Diakiese in this one here.
Nice. And next up, late notice opponent stepping in. Kudos to KSW for negotiating with the UFC and letting this go down as well. Mr. Danny Roberts is facing off against David Zawada. Will, last minute opponent can sometimes be a nightmare because it just messes up your game plan. Mr. Danny Roberts, I know he's your boy. You got a bit of faith now. We're going to be favoritism, or you're going to be a professional, so to speak, and be an honest opinion on the fight.
I think it's a risky fight. I think when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, I know who that guy is. I've watched that guy in KSW. I've seen that guy knock out guys in KSW, and I've seen him go pretty into fights where he's won via submission and he's won via decision. This is in the line. I've seen the betting line for this earlier on. The betting line's way off. If you listened to this before when Danny's fought, I'm a big fan of Danny. He's just a really cool guy, nice guy. He's always been great with me. Wherever in the world I've been, I've seen him in Vegas, I've seen him in Glasgow, I've seen him in Manchester, I've seen him loads of places. Liverpool, I think I've seen him down there one time as well. I love his finish against Oliver Enkamp. He has that there. He has really fast hands and he has really big power, and he showed that against Enkamp. Now Enkamp has no business in the UFC at this point. Zawada is very, very tough, and I've just got the funny feeling that he might come in here and catch Danny, which hurts me to say. But when I look at the matchups, I think, right, who has the more tools? And I think, honestly, I think Danny's a little bit better, more well-rounded. I think he's a good counter-striker. I think he's fast. I do think his defense is lacking a little bit, though, because he does get hit with some shots. And he can't do that against this guy here, because if he does, he will get caught with something, he'll get put down, he can get put out. So, again, I think he needs to fight smart. I think he needs to try and mix it up. He has wrestling. We've seen that before he went to the UFC. I think it was the Jimmy Wallhead fight, and there was the Spanish guy, Souza, I think, off the top of my head, where he used his wrestling, his grappling to his advantage. I think it's a big, big, big fight for Danny Roberts. I think if it comes... well, it's not a big fight. I think it's a hard fight. I think he could have got a lot easier opponents than this guy to come in from the European circuit. But this guy's tough. This guy's legit. He's got a legit record, and he's beaten solid Polish fighters.
Yeah.
Andreas Stahl, who was in the UFC, he knocked him out in the first round. So I'm going to go Danny Roberts, but I see it being very, very close, and I see him coming through a couple of hard times in that fight. The one thing that I'm kind of banking on here is that maybe if the fight goes late, Zawada's not been training for a fight. He's coming in here short notice, so we don't know what his condition is like. I'm going to go Danny Roberts, though.
I have to say, bro, I'm with you on that, because that is the... If you look at skill sets, full fight camp, on point, I probably would have said Zawada. But because it's short notice, like, oh, don't get me wrong, folks, he'll be in good shape. Like, Zawada's not going to be, like, you know, on the sofa, eating a load of crisps, watching the World Cup and having a load of beers. He's obviously training all the time. It's, you know, he's got that kind of good conditioning. He'll have a good overall conditioning. But fight camp condition and non-fight camp condition, two different kettles of fish. Plus, he's got to cut the weight. So, for this fight, his weight cut would have started weeks ago. It's starting now. So we look at Craig White, you know, made a big cut down. You know, anyone cutting down a welterweight, you're probably walking around 190. You know, so he's got to cut 20 pounds or maybe more in this next week, and it's not the most desirable thing to be doing. You know, because he'll have interviews, he'll have all the media, all the other stuff going on, and he's got to make weight. So it's a bit of a headache. If he was on a smaller promotion, folks, he could just sit at home, do all that, not have to do all this kind of extra criteria, but it's a bit more work than people realise. So on that basis, I'm putting it down to Danny being able to be smart, use footwork, that he's got great footwork, that boxing that he's got. Like, Danny has got some fantastic boxing. I don't think he used his head movement just quite as much as he should do. I think he could use it a little bit more, but I think Danny, if he just get out the first round, you know, make Zawada miss, make Zawada work a bit more, you know, move his footwork, move him around a bit, then the second round, open up a bit more, start to put your pace on it, and then start to, like, see what Zawada's got in him, you know, really start to test him, go, right, okay, cool, well, I've got a gas tank to go and keep going. I tell you, if it was Alan Joban, mate, this original fight, I was going to pick Danny all day, because I think Joban was going to get put to sleep. Hands down, I had Danny Roberts sparking him out. Now it's changed. I think Zawada's just a tough dude, so I think he's got a decision. Danny Roberts, smart. If he's smart in the first round, I think he takes it. You know, he just has to be patient, smart, and I think Danny Roberts can just get a nice 3-round decision win. Off he goes. He's got the conditioning for it. We've seen he's fit enough for it. Next up, heavyweight fight. Like, it's a good heavyweight fight. This, people, you know, Marcin Tybura against Stefan Struve. Woo, that's a legit heavyweight fight. And you know, when it's Stefan Struve steps into the octagon, like, he's lost a lot of fights via knockout. Like, how people reach him is beyond me, but somehow he has been knocked out that many times. And the problem is, it's like, I might have said this before in the past, he relies on being tall too much. Like, when he gets clocked, it's because he leans back and he thinks, oh, he can't hit this high, and he gets clocked so many times. Like, he needs to use footwork. He only has to do half a step. For him is like a 12-foot leap for me. Like, I don't know why he's got lazy footwork, lazy move. Like, he should be way out of range by most. Like, no one should be really catching him as much as they do. He relies way too much on being big and just being able to lean back. I don't think there's enough. It frustrates me big time when I watch Stefan Struve, because he could easily be. He is, like I say, Volkov is a better version of Struve, and like, Struve's just, he's never going to get there, in my opinion. He's never going to be the fighter that he should have. I think Volkov, when he, you know, is what Struve should have been, and Struve will always see that and always feel that. I think Tybura's going to win this. Legit, I do. I've got Tybura winning this. I think Tybura's mixture of combinations really will throw Struve off, and Tybura's tough. He could take a hit, but he's got good ways to get strikes in on guys. Like, he's got good various strikes. I like the way Tybura mixes up for heavyweight. He's got good output as well. You know, I just think, like, Struve's output isn't big. I'm gonna go with Tybura here, because I think Struve's taken one too many kickings in his time, and it catches up with you. Struve's young, don't get me wrong, but it does catch up. Your chin can't be there forever. I think Tybura's got a great opportunity here to put down a big name in his feather, in his cap, and walk away with. I think I want to go second round, because second, third round, I think Tybura's going to put him to sleep.
I'm kind of with you. I when Stefan Struve's been around for a long time, he's took a lot of damage. How long has he actually been in the UFC? That's interesting.
He's probably been in nearly, I reckon, 8 years, 9 years.
It must be. He must be coming on 10 years soon.
Must be coming on 10. Has to be.
Sorry, guys. I'm just having a look here just to see what this is.
You've got me curious now. So I reckon 09.
UFC 95. February 21st, 2009 against Junior Dos Santos.
Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. What a crazy fight that is to come on. Make
when you think about it, with GDS and but when you look at his record, there's no real standout wins over.
Miocic is about it.
Miocic. I'm looking at his early stuff here, so I'm kind of
early stuff. Yeah.
Gormley, and legend back then. He was a guy that would fight everybody. Pat Barry, Dave Herman, LeVar Johnson. Miocic is going to be his career standout win. Yeah. I don't think he's ever going to better that. But his last couple of wins, Omilanchuk, Tony Silva, they're not in the UFC anymore. Nogueira's retired. So it's like, where is he at his game? I think that Tybura is just he's got the perfect game to stifle him on the feet, just outwork him on the feet. I think he can get takedowns. He has to, obviously, everybody that faces Stefan Struve, you have to be careful because he's got those long arms and legs. He is decent, and we've seen that he's okay off his back as well. But he has taken a lot of punishment. I think that someone as well-rounded as Marcin Tybura here, I think he's going to fight smart and probably fight safe as well. He needs this win. He's lost 2 in a row as well. Derek Lewis for Doom, which is clear fights, I think. Both those fighters were
top-level guys.
They would beat Stefan Struve, I firmly believe. I like Tybura here. I think he could maybe hurt him with some body kicks and fold him a little bit. But ultimately, I've got Marcin Tybura winning the fight, and don't know how he's going to do it, but I think he's going to win the fight.
Nice, yeah. Okay. It's a strange one, this, where they've placed, again, card order. I don't make it. This is what the card order we've got of latest. Not overly excited about. You got Victor Miranda against Abu Azaitar. Sorry. Will, it's not a fight I'm overly pumped about. I would have buried this in the prelims myself. But what's your views on this fight, bro?
Yeah, this is one I've not really looked in a hell of a lot. I'll be honest with you. It's I know who Abu Azaitar is. He was a guy who's in the PFL. And he has got fights. If you go on YouTube, you'll see him on there. 7-1 record, 13-2-1 record. Sorry, 7 wins by KO and 1 by submission. So he's a solid all-around fighter. It's the same with Miranda. I think he's a good, solid kickboxer. I don't think he's got a gas tank that should really be in the UFC. I think he's got a round of gas in him. If he doesn't hit you and puts you down, he's going to fade, and the other guy's going to take over in the fight, and that's kind of how I see this fight taking place here. I see it being close in the first. Abu has got the clearly superior gas tank and cardio, and I think that's when he takes over this fight, and he could easily get a finish. I think he'll get a submission finish or a TKO ground and pound finish. Like I say, I have no idea why this is high up in the card when there's other fights I think you should be pushing a little bit more. But I like Abu Azaitar to kind of win via stoppage, probably a ground and pound stoppage, round 2 for me.
Yeah, you've already beat me to the punch. Ground and pound was my pick for it, man. Because Abu, tell you what, like that first round's going to be wild because he comes out hard. He sparked out Jack Marshman as well in Cage Warriors. So he dude is powerful, man. And Victor, that's the only chance Victor's going to get is taking advantage of the aggressive behaviour that Abu has in the first round. But like I said, he was on the World Series fight. My only question, I was a bit dubious about the finish, but Victor's been around a while. He's 40 years old. He ain't getting no younger. So it's a big factor, that is. He's had a lot of battles in his time, a lot of combat sports. So it does take a toll on the body. Abu, I think that there was only one question I had was when he fought like a guy who was a 500 fighter and he couldn't finish him. And I was like, dude, you should be finishing those kind of guys. But I think with this fight, it's a more ideal setup for Abu to get the win. He's probably managed as well, just put out there, probably managed by Ali, just randomly, just sticking that out there. But yeah, that's that fight, so let's brush over that because it's not one to, it will not be a fight to bother remembering. Co-main event, and the main event being jigged around a bit, folks, but we've got them now. So we got Glover Teixeira. Kudos to Corey Anderson stepping up. He's not scared. Right, so let's go into this. Glover Teixeira, dude is like one of the best light heavyweights the UFC's got. Even though he's knocking on the wrong side of his kind of prime, he's just past that prime bit. He's starting to go on that kind of downhill side of things where everything starts to catch up with you. Age, the combat years, sport, everything's starting to take a bit of a toll on his body. I think he's on a latter stage, but he's against a guy who's a more suitable dude to face. Like Corey, as much as he won his last fight, let's not forget, the dudes get sparked out. Like Jim Manoa sparked him out. OSP sparked him out. Like he's like, you hit him, Corey's in a world of trouble. Glover cracks. We know this. Glover's got good speed with his hands, very good combinations. He's got good movement. He's got great kind of he can set guys up with his striking. On the ground, Glover is no joke either. So it's actually, Glover's one of those awkward ones. Like, you don't know where to fight him because he's so hard to fight. He's so talented in so many areas. Corey with his wrestling, that's his strong point. He's like a blanket, and he'll just try to win the fight that way. I don't think he's going to get anywhere near like that. I think Glover's going to knock him dead. If not the first, I'm going to second round Glover knockout, because I just can't see Corey getting past Glover's hands, and if he does, I just don't see much happening.
I was more interested when Latifi was in the fight.
Yes,
I thought that was a really good fight for Latifi. Actually, I thought he could do enough on the feet to initiate into grappling situations where he could get takedowns and win a close fight. I still think it's a tough fight for Glover Teixeira here. Corey Anderson's a guy that his wrestling grappling really impresses me. When he puts it together, he's really hard to face, and he can put you against the cage like he did against Cummins and took him down, I think it was 10, 11, 12 times or something like that. And he blasts double legs as well. And when you look at the resume of both guys, Cummins is a better wrestler, and he had nothing for Corey Anderson. But he cannot take a shot. When sometimes he gets lulled into that kind of striking game like he did against Manoa. He didn't really do anything in that fight, but once he should have pressured for takedowns and didn't really do it. And then he was in that danger zone where all it took was one shot, and literally that's all it really takes against this guy. It's just one shot, and you will be put down. And Teixeira's a guy that he's got enough boxing prowess. He's another one of these guys who's a solid well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's really good with his boxing, and he has dangerous ground skills. It's just that it's whether he can catch Anderson. I went back and watched John Jones against Glover Teixeira, and I know I shouldn't really be comparing the two, John Jones to Corey Anderson, but I still see parts of this fight where Corey Anderson could put him against the cage and keep him there and get takedowns from it. And John Jones did that in abundance against Glover Teixeira. Like I said, far spectrum, the greatest of the public there's ever been, and Corey Anderson, that's a far. But I do think he has some of the grappling prowess to trouble Teixeira here, and I don't know. I'm a little bit unsure on this fight. I think for me, if Glover can't finish early, I think that Corey Anderson could take over late and win a very close split decision. So I'll take Corey Anderson. I'll take a little stab on Corey Anderson to win a close decision.
Dog. Oof.
Yeah, don't get caught, and try and work that possession game, pressure game, where you can put him against the cage and try and work him from there. Ultimately, I see it being a close fight, though. If Glover can't stop him, I can see being a split decision either way.
The problem is you've got to get to the problem is
you've
got to come into you got to get in the danger zone, and that's why I can't see how he can get through that danger zone. Because if I'm Glover, I'm just going to blast anyway. Because if he's coming in, he's coming in. I want to go and I want to blast at you. So, main event though, man, the legend that is Shogun, who I keep reiterating that he should be down at middleweight, but he's not. He should have been there like 8 years ago at middleweight. and he'd be starching folks there. But anyway, he's still in the light heavyweight division, Shogun, and he's fighting Anthony Smith, another replacement that's come in. So, Mr. Lionheart, bro, what's your breakdown on this fight, man? Because it's an interesting dynamic, man.
I think it's a good main event. I think the Shogun and Volkan obviously was a good main event, but I think that as a replacement, Anthony Smith, who obviously hasn't fought all that much up at 205, coming off a really good display against Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans was obviously, his head was already out the sport. He wanted really nothing more to do with the sport. I think that's fairly obvious. But a very dangerous guy who can hit you at length, who has power at length, has knees, is dangerous in the clinch, but he's facing a guy that has literally seen everything you could probably throw at a fighter. He's been in the positions where he's looked down and out, and he's the one that's came back and he's brought the fight. Him and the Dan Henderson fights were that 2011 one. I can't remember the event, but it's just a great fight. Every time that Shogun fights, you have to go back and watch it, and that's what it is. Short notice. So he's got to. The thing is with Smith, he's not going to cut as much weight as some other guys, because they obviously had to make that big cut down to 185. So he's a natural 205er pretty much. So I can see his cardio being decent, but he has shown in the past that he has faded late as well. I see him starting the fight very, very strongly, but then I see Shogun coming into it. Shogun is on the biggest win streak in years. I think that Corey Anderson fight, if I'm being honest, I thought that Corey actually won that fight. If it was anywhere else in the world, I don't think that Shogun would have got that fight. He only fights once a year. He hasn't fought in about nearly like 15, 16 months. Now that might be good for him actually, because the amount of damage the guy's taken. He is there to be got at. Anthony Smith can definitely get him here. I think eventually the pressure of Shogun, he's going to land a shot and he's going to buckle Anthony Smith and stop him. And the funny thing is here, he could get a title shot off this, which is because DC said he wants to fight this guy, which would be absolutely horrible, by the way. It would be absolutely horrible. But it's a fight. Yeah, if DC wants that fight, he's already beat everybody else there is to beat. Shogun is in line. So it's crazy to me that those two could fight in 2018, but what can I say, is what is. Don't get caught early. I think he takes his licks early on. I actually think I could see Smith coming out the first couple of rounds and maybe winning those rounds, but then eventually I can see Shogun come into it, and just that warrior spirit that he has, which is something that he's had for years, way back in Pride. It's probably something he's always had. Just a never say die attitude. Don't get caught like he did against OSP. And I think he could win this fight and stop Anthony Smith. So I'm going to go Shogun Hua, third, fourth round TKO victory here. So I'm going to take another underdog.
Man, like you said, DC would flatten Shogun like a pancake. It'd be disgusting how easy to destroy him. But it could happen. It could absolutely. But part of me wants Shogun to win just because DC's asked for it. It'd be nice to see that, because you know what, DC's only got 2 more left in him, and he's going. So it'd be nice if he could get that. He said it. It'd be nice if he could have it. But I don't. I'm going the other way. I'm going with Lionheart, man. I'm going Anthony Smith. He beat one legend in Rashad. He's going to take on another legend in Shogun. I said to you time and time again that Mother Nature is a beast on you. You know, time catches up with your body. You know, you're taking a few rounds off, you know, those wars that he's had, Shogun. I think Anthony's just really long and really awkward and annoying. And at 205, he's actually been a smart guy and went in the right weight class at the right time. We've said it time and time. The light heavyweight division is too weak. And there's opportunities to get there. You've got guys who are long in the tooth. They've been around a while. I think Anthony Smith can be a nightmare for Shogun. I think he can use a lot of that length that he's got with the arms and the legs and just be a horrible, horrible kind of match for him. Throw those body kicks and head kicks, because there's no worry about a takedown from Shogun. He ain't going to be taking him down. No chance he ain't going to do that. So Anthony Smith is free to throw those big kicks, those big shots. And I just think at 205, I think Smith won't fade as much as he would have at 185. Because I know it's 5 rounds, so it's a big factor. But I think he's got it. I do. I really think Smith's actually got it. I feel awful going against Shogun because it's Shogun, and I physically love the human being. I couldn't get to Hamburg, but I would happily go to Hamburg just to stand there, just to stand and shake his hand, because he's just, like you say, a legend of the sport. But people's time comes to an end, man. We've seen a lot this year, a lot of people retiring. So I'm going. Mr. Smith is going to stop Shogun. I reckon second, third round, man. I think second, third round will be enough for him, and that's where I'm going. So we're going to go with Will's bets now. Okay, so Will, not all the betting lines are out at the moment, but
they are.
Are they?
Actually, in the UK, they actually are. They're a full week before the fights.
That's not even it's crazy. There's usually about like the last minute.com. It's awful. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it either. I was like, somebody sent me a message like, all the betting odds are out. I'm like, no way, you're shitting me.
I'm going now.
And some of the majority of the lines are out on some of the UK betting markets. So happy days. Okay
then. So Will, what are you suggesting to folks at home to look out for, to maybe go and put money on? Go ahead, bro.
Honestly, I think it's a really tough card for betting. I don't think it's the greatest card for betting. I see this more a kind of parlay kind of card. Last week was one of those cards where underdogs were the ones you really had to look for. I think this week, for me, is parlays. I already have one that I've put together, and that's Manny Bermudez and Darko Stasiak at, I think it's just around plus money, if I remember off the top of my head. Other bet that I put on is Shogun. I say to myself early in the year, if I'm picking underdogs, then I'm going to bet them if I'm confident in them. And last week I didn't do that with Barcelos, and I was kicking myself last night. So I'm taking the shot there. If I think he's going to win, then take the shot. I'll probably have another. I think I might have another parlay with Tybura and somebody else. I don't know who else is going to be. I don't know. Maybe a Diakiese, but I think that's a risky one personally. Nad might be one. I don't know what his line is, but actually he's minus 250. So he's a 2.5. That might not be. Narimani might not be a bad one. Narimani and Marcin Tybura might be one I actually look at. But the other, I think I'm going to have 3. I think Hadzovic interests me a little bit because he's an underdog. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going. For me, I think it's a parlay type of card. Yeah.
Okay, nice, bro. All right. I haven't seen the odds myself, so I'm not even put anything down. But I'll probably jump on a couple myself. Let's go, though, to the questions. We had our boy Adam throwing over the questions. Good man. So Adam on Twitter handles at AdamShone292. So here we go. It's linking into the World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, and we just had. So if you do not know what this means, do not fear. Will, being a football man, will help explain, because I'm not really that into football, like as in not really into football. I know a little bit because of the World Cup, because you can't avoid it, but that's about it. So he said, who is the Mbappe elite, in brackets, elite young prospect of MMA currently? Now, will Mbappe explain who he is to me and everyone in the world? Just a bit more detail on what that means.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe is like, he's only 19 years old. He makes 20 million a year, and he was signed last year for 166 million by Paris Saint-Germain. He's only 19, and he's probably going to move again this summer to Real Madrid, probably for like 250 million euros or whatever. I don't know. That's what they're talking about. And he for me is the star of the World Cup. He's only 19, and he looks unbelievable. He's rapid. They were like doing videos where he was running past people at like 25 to 28 miles an hour. He's absolutely rapid, and he's got really quick feet. So he is like the elite young footballer that's coming through, that's going to be your next Messi, your next Ronaldo, without a ship. Right. Okay. So we're looking at MMA. Who's that guy that's coming through that is the next big thing, big talent, you think? For me, I think Gregor Gillespie is one of those guys. I do think he's got things he needs to work on. I think he gets hit. But he has a wrestling game, and he has boxing game that is really, really good. And he's not a 155er. That guy's a natural 145er. He could easily drop down. That's going to be his division. So for me, someone like Gregor Gillespie is going to be that guy. And you could add Zabit into that as well. I think Zabit's one of those guys that you could easily put in there as a hot young prospect coming through. He's only had a couple of fights for the UFC, but you can already see he's going to be in that top 5 of that division very, very shortly.
Well, he did say MMA currently. He didn't say UFC, so we have a variable option there.
I have one. I have another one.
Outside. All right, do you want to say it? If you say mine, I'll probably jump through the screen and strangle you. But
well, you go first then, because I've already had my say. But I've got one.
You sure? Right. So this is Jack Shaw is mine.
I wasn't thinking Jack Shaw, but that's something that's obviously for me. It's Aaron Pico.
Nice Bellator. Yeah.
So I think when you think of young guys, he came in and he had a rough start, but since then he's been absolutely killing guys.
Phenomenal.
He looks like he's got everything legit striking. Mm-hmm. We don't even need to talk about his wrestling because it is one of the best that the sport has. Yeah. He reminds me, he's going to be one of those like DC guys that's just going to be elite in various divisions. Yeah. So, talking about all them, for me, Aaron Pico is really the standout one I think of. Yeah. I think he's got a potential which is unlimitless. I think he can go and get better all the time. I
think he might let his Bellator contract run out and go to UFC in due course as well. I think it'd be silly if he didn't. He's so marketable as well. Absolutely obscene how marketable he is. Yeah, Jack Shaw's my bro because I just think he is, like you say, great grappling. He's down to 135 in this like weight class it should be in. He's an absolute tear. He's just growing and developing all the time. I love what he is potential that he's got. Corey McKenna, she's a young girl. And again, same area, like female fighter. I think she's got potential in like 3 or 4 years to be an absolute superstar, potentially. So, here we go. Next question we have from is Ngannou, in brackets kind of, versus Miocic, and Krokop versus Congo are 2 France versus Croatia fights. Can you think of any more? All right, Adam, piss off, mate. Bloody hell.
There's not been that many Croats fighting in the UFC, has there? So there's been Krokop, Pokrajac, Goran Relic.
But then again, think about the French ones. There's not that many French fighters, if you think about it. I think there's even less French than there is Croatian. And in theory, Ngannou, like you said, kind of, he's been in France, but he's not from. There's not many Frenchies, is there either? Like,
no, I wouldn't. I think there'll be the only 2 between those 2 countries.
There's not many, is there? Because, like, Croatia, did really well, their guys, but I think it's France that kind of let us down with the. But then again, it's not France's fault because they've banned MMA, haven't they? They never. Well, sorry, they didn't ban it. They never legalized it. That's the right word to use. So that's kind of holding their country back because they have got some talented cats in there who have to go outside of France to compete. But if they didn't have to, they'd have that kind of hub and that kind of pot of talent to grow from there. But eventually, France will get their head screwed on. And they'll let it go. So here we go. Yeah, great question. Last one here. It bugged me when I saw this. It bugged you as well. It baffled us. Well, it didn't baffle us, but it bugged us. UFC Pick'ems being stopped. Thoughts on why? For folks who don't know what that is, Will, just explain what UFC Pick'ems is.
It's just like a weekly event. So you've got every fight that the UFC puts on, and you pick who you think is going to win. And then you've got a leaderboard there, and you try and see how high you can go up. And it's like, I think it was like 20,000 people that were doing this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are coming into the website who are not going to be coming into the website anymore because it's not there. It makes no sense to me. It's that the UFC are cutting things that the fans are invested in. I've always liked Pick'em because I've gone into the top 100 a few times, and I try and see if I can better the year before. This year, I think I'm sitting in 36th position, and I want to try and make the top 20 if possible. I've been in and around there the majority of the year, but but I don't understand why they're stopping it in the middle of the year. At least run it till the end of the year, and then if you want to do that, then go ahead and do it. But for stopping it in August makes zero sense to me.
Random, isn't it?
It can't take up too much of the time just putting the fights on there and like making sure the results are all official and stuff. It can't. I'll do it for you. Jesus, I'll happily do it. I'll put all the fights on there. Well, maybe I won't because I'm shit with doing stuff, but putting stuff on there and just making sure the results are official and that, it makes no sense. It's just taking away from the fun factor of the UFC that brings in the fans, that brings in the website. Honestly, it makes no sense to me.
We've got to remember, I think the big thing is, it's not the UFC anymore. Let's all... Yeah. Like, we all kind of get caught up and forget in that it's thinking it's the old UFC. We've got to remember it's WIMB, ABC, GKF, whatever the hell they want to call themselves now. That it's them. So, to be brutally honest, they don't care about you and I. They don't care about the fans, folks. They really don't. They care about cutting costs and just making profit. That's all it is. Pick'ems doesn't make them money. Pick'ems cost some money. They're going to cut it. Ceremonial weigh-ins apparently is being dropped from the UFC Hamburg, apparently, I think. I heard some rumours on the feed about that. Don't know how true it is, but if that is true, I was suspecting that they may have ended up dropping that as well. And maybe keep it for pay-per-views or something like that, I don't know. But if something like that was to happen, again, that would be a ridiculous thing. But then again, I don't know how much effort they're going to put in as a whole to external things outside the event. They are cutting everything all the time. It is a shame. It is sad. The reason you are such a multi-billion-pound company is because you invested the money into the fans, so they repaid you back tenfold. No one's going to pay you tenfold. I tell you what, I don't go and buy anything direct from UFC. They don't get a penny out of me apart from tickets. Other than that, I'll avoid them. I'll go anywhere else to get stuff like that's not necessarily UFC based, because man, I'm really kind of disengaged from them is the best way to put it. You know, I look at other promotions, other stuff that they've got. Man, it's just a shame the way it's going.
Totally agree. Get rid of the UFC rewards was something I was really invested in. It's like where you had to go into the UFC website every day. You had to click on an article and read an article, and then you were getting points, and then you could buy stuff. And I think I bought a signed... what did I get? I got a signed Misha Tate thing I could put in the wall, and it's a really nice piece. But I had to... I think I had like 20,000 points, so I got that, and I got a year's membership to UFC Fight Pass. So it's things like that. Like I was striving for different things, and then it just says, we're going to get rid of it. It made zero sense because it's taken away from people going to the website and just Googling those 3 letters or whatever, and it's a shame. It's just taken away.
They didn't have the rewards thing on for long, did they? Off the top of my head, or was that the UFC store card or something like that?
Yeah,
or...
I think it was about 18 months to maybe 2 years.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
And then they took it away. So I don't know what the dig is with that. I just think that it's weird and it's taken away from the fans. But it's like I say, maybe it's a cost cutting thing on their behalf. I don't know. I can't see it costing all that much to run something like that. But who knows?
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the podcast for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Comment down below again on your picks, your bets, even your thoughts on the questions. Any questions you have in the future, feel free. We will reply back on the podcast. So from me, enjoy your time watching UFC Hamburg. Don't forget it's on Sunday, not Saturday, because we have all done that, been absolute plonkers, made our plans, and got the wrong day. So thank you from me. Will, any last words? Yeah,
just thank you for tuning in. Subscribers, I think we need to set ourselves another goal. What 211?
211 at the moment.
So I think, 250, I think, to maybe finish off the year. We've got like another 4 or 5 months left. I think if we can set a goal and hit 250, which is 40 odd away, which I think we can hit, if you guys can help us get us to 250. Like you said, enjoy the fight card when it comes round. We've got UFC in Canada. I think it's Calgary.
Cody.
No, that's the week after. Next week it's Eddie Alvarez.
Sorry, Eddie Alvarez Poirier, which is insane. Oh my gosh, can't wait. That card is
Stevens.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't fight.
JJ, and it's got Hernandez against Mercy as well. Dustin Ortiz, Nicolau is one that stands out to me in that fight card. So it's
Sick
a really
fight card.
good fight card. I think it's going to be on earlier as well because the Fox cards are always on early. Like they start like 8:30 on a Saturday night, which is not good for me because I will miss majority because I'm working that Saturday night. But it is what it is. But like we were saying, just comment, subscribe, let us know your thoughts on all the fights and whatever. And we'll be back next week for UFC Calgary. So until then, take care, enjoy the event, and we'll catch up with you very, very soon.